Hi everybody, Kevin with Pride Public Adjusters. Today I'm going to talk to you folks about the proof of loss. This is a topic that's been coming up quite a bit recently. So first of all, if you're watching me on Facebook, YouTube, or at Times Square, please click on the like button. Just makes me happy. I appreciate it. So a proof of loss, let's talk about what the proof of loss is. Proof of loss is a legal document wherein the insurance company can request this under the policy. It's your agreement with the insurance company if they request a proof of loss that you'll send this to them within usually 60 days from the date of their request. So it's a document, usually a single page, and it basically just outlines what your demand is and some other information. So it basically tells them what you're asking for under the coverages, and may ask other questions like who's the lien holder, the date of loss, things like that. So the idea or the intent of a proof of loss is for the carrier to understand what their exposure is, to get kind of some questions answered that maybe they can't get for whatever reason. They've been asking you for, what the damages are, what are you claiming, and they weren't getting it. So that's kind of the intent behind the proof of loss, to figure out what their exposure is. Now, the proof of loss is often misused. It's probably misused more than it's appropriately applied. So carriers, we find, will ask for a proof of loss after they issue a payment. Really no need for that, because it doesn't fulfill what the actual intent of getting a proof of loss is, which is to find out what their exposure is. And then, or they may ask for it to kind of delay a claim, or maybe they won't, they'll figure they're not going to get it back. Or I've even had an adjuster say, we're going to make you fill out a proof of loss, and then when you write one thing wrong in there, we gotcha. Because you're signing this proof of loss, usually under oath, and or penalty of perjury, and you're attesting to it, and it's signed and notarized. So it's often misused. But so if you're requested to provide a proof of loss, our recommendation is that you file a partial proof of loss. Not very much different. It's essentially the proof of loss, and you put on the top of the page partial or preliminary. Why do we do this? Well, it's pretty difficult to actually come up with the actual numbers and know everything that you need to know in order to fill out a full and final proof of loss. And sometimes the carriers make it impossible for you to do it, and we'll write to them and object, and we'll say it's an impossibility. We cannot submit a full and final proof of loss at this time, but we can do a partial proof of loss, and it'll get you to where you need to be, which is understanding what we're going after. So the reason that, or some of the reasons that you can't do a full and final is you may have hidden or unknown damages. You may have things that are pending, such as the carriers won't pay for, or often don't pay for a permit or fees unless they're incurred. So you don't know what your permits or fees are going to be. You don't know what your hidden damage is going to be. You also don't know whether you're going to have certain code upgrades until the city comes out and issues a correction notice. So you can't possibly fill out a full and final proof of loss prior to knowing all these items. And also additional living expense. How do you know what that's going to be? If you're in a temporary home, or your kitchen is destroyed and you have out of pocket for food expenses, you're not going to know what those are. You could kind of set a budget, but what if you're wrong? So we fill out the partial proof of loss, and this is something that Joe Radcliffe with the NIRC recommended, which is the National Insurance Restoration Council, NIRC.org, Joe Radcliffe. So he had recommended to do that. One of the other things I want to talk quickly about, but it's really another topic, and we'll get into it, is the insured needs to be doing this filling out this document and signing it. There is the unauthorized practice of public adjuster, which states that if you're assisting an insured to provide forms or fill out insurance forms, then and you're not a public adjuster, you could go down a bad path. So we want to warn people about that. So have the insured usually wait for the insurance company to ask for the proof of loss. I know some people think that submitting a proof of loss arbitrarily without being asked is going to push the claim forward, and it might, but it's not likely. It puts the carrier on certain time frames, but they're already on those time frames as it is. And let's say that you give them a proof of loss and they've got 45 days to accept or reject. Well, there's an easy way around that. You simply send a letter saying we need more time. We don't have all the facts and we need more time to figure it out. And that's how they get around it. So I don't know that pushing in a proof of loss without them asking is there's a huge benefit to that. But on occasion there might be. But definitely when you're asked to fill out a proof of loss by the carrier, be prompt in doing so. Don't take the entire 60 days. Get in the information you can within the first few days, get it done, send it in, partial proof of loss, fulfill your requirement under the policy. And then the carrier, if you don't fill it out and send it in with 60 days, the carrier could look to reject your claim. Not likely that's going to hold up, just because the carrier needs to object to you not doing that, and they need to remind you, and you can always ask for another 30 days or something. So but it's important you just get it done quick and get it in and fulfill your obligation under the policy as fast as possible. So any questions, please email me, kevin@prideadjusters.com, right there, or call me 800-515-5450, right there. Whoop, 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 whoop. So look forward to hearing from you folks, and take care. We'll have more videos coming out. Bye.